I haven't yet read a solid, absolute 5-star read so far this year, so let's see if I can conjure up some powers of foresight or something and see if any of these books are going to be one of those coveted 5-star reads that I'm looking for. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video, I want to share 5 books that I picked off my shelves. Well, 4 books and one that I need to pick up. So 4 books off my shelves, and see if any of these are going to be like a really good, nice 5-star gold standard kind of awesome book. Just I've read a lot of middle of the road books so far this year. I feel. I mean, a lot of pretty good ones as well, but just nothing over like 4.5. So we're gonna see if we can find a 5-star review here. So let's just go ahead and get started. So first up is a book that I've been recently sent by Crown Publishing, and it's Revolutionary Spring: Europe Aflame in the Fight for a New World, 1848 to 1849 by Christopher Clark. I know him from another book, The Sleepwalkers, which is how Europe, I can't remember what the subtitle exactly is, how Europe basically walked into war in 1914, and that's super highly regarded, and that's already slated as my next World War I book. I used to read a lot of World War I history, and that's kind of just like fallen off the wayside recently, but I've been branching out, trying to read kind of modernish history, and I got some American history planned out, which is really weird for me. Usually it's all ancient and classical, medieval and stuff, but anyways, after reading The Pursuit of Power here by Richard Evans for March of the Mammoths, I'm really glad I did end up reading it. I was kind of nervous at first there. I just realized how many gaps in my knowledge there are on the long 19th century, and I feel like this book is going to be just like a perfect one, kind of filling in a gap, dealing with, you know, a couple of the central years in the middle of the century there. There is just a lot. There is a lot going on. It's not like a lot of times, you know, there's like treaties and stuff between 1 or 2 or maybe sometimes 3 or 4 countries and stuff. This was like a completely like European, just we're gonna like reset the table and try to start over and that kind of thing. I mean, you got like the Scandinavian countries are in turmoil. Portugal's all messed up. Switzerland is, you know, doing pretty rough around this time. Obviously, France and Italy, you know, are just a complete mess at this time. You know, with like Napoleon III and whatnot. You know, you got Metternich trying to like figure things out and, you know, rule the continent, like, you know, behind the scenes. Let's see, Hungary is a mess. The Baltic states are not doing great. There's just a whole lot going on, you know, for this era of like the Congress of Vienna and whatnot. And I'm hoping this kind of fills in a gap. There's just, I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot. Obviously, Pursuit of Power kind of dealt with it a little bit, but since that's dealing with about 100 years, you know, and this, it's about this, almost, not quite the same size. I think this is like a 500-ish. Oh gosh, don't listen to me. I'm completely wrong. This is like almost 700 pages of actual text. Oh, whoa, over 700. This is almost a mammoth itself. Actually, it is a mammoth if you count the footnotes and stuff. And this is just, you know, covering, I assume there's going to be a little bit of contextual information stuff a little bit before 1848, but, you know, just kind of a central couple of years there, and I feel like it's just going to be able to, you're going to be able to do a big, deep dive, and it's going to cover, like, all the bases, and you're going to be able to flip over a lot of rocks and stuff, and, like I said, I'm hoping to learn a lot and actually feel confident with knowing a little bit more about this time period in history, and Christopher Clark is a really well-regarded author. Like I said, he's got that book on kind of the introduction to the beginning of World War I, which is super highly regarded. He's got a book on Prussia, I believe, and I'm sure he's got a couple others as well. But yeah, hopefully this will be a 5-star read. Oh man. Alright, next up we got a Greek history, of all things. Eratosthenes and the Ancient Quest to Measure the Globe by Nicholas Nicastro. And for those who don't know who Eratosthenes is, he was, for a time, the chief or head librarian of the Library of Alexandria, when that was still around in the classical world, if that doesn't tell you something. But the book is called Circumference because Eratosthenes pretty much calculated the circumference of the planet Earth here to within about, I think it was within like 1 or 2% accuracy, which is pretty baller if you ask me, you know, when you're talking like, what, I think it was like 200 BCE or somewhere kind of in that ballpark. Yeah, just super crazy. I think from just the snippets I've read about him from like my other like kind of Greek and Roman histories and stuff, is he was always considered like the number 2 guy for some reason, and I thought that was really weird. And then when I looked into it a little bit more, it was because he was always considered like the second best mathematician, the second best geographer, the second best scientist, the second best whatever. But he was the second best in basically every field. He was like, you know, kind of the what am I thinking of? Not polyglot, the polymath of his day. You know, true like Renaissance Greek, I guess. So yeah, just sounds really interesting, and I've never read a biography of him, and just the fact that there is a biography on, like, I assume a lot of it is going to be kind of like his life and times and stuff, but I feel like not enough Greek history books are published kind of in this style. Yeah, I think it's always a lot of like political or campaigny kind of general kind of, or you know, military type stuff. Just feel like more sciencey stuff that just, you know, should be put out, because the Greeks were, you know, pretty revolutionary in that kind of sense and everything. So yeah, just hoping to learn a lot. Hopefully it's not like super I'm not getting the vibe that it's super technical, because like sometimes the math and stuff goes a little bit over my head, but hoping to just kind of like, this will be like a really fun one that I enjoy reading, because it's like, you know, the Greek world and whatnot. But yeah, let's just hopefully this is a 5-star read as well. Alright, next up, actually I'll do the book that I don't have so I don't forget it. And actually I mentioned this book in my last video and I forgot to put the image of the cover up, but it's Children of the Northern Forest. New England, what is it? Wild New England's History from Glaciers to Global Warming. And this is by Jamie Sayan. Yeah, see, I should have. How did I remember the first name but not the last name? I couldn't tell you. But anyways, for those who don't know, I live in the middle of the sticks in the woods in New England, and I have a ton of nature reads that I read. You know, nature reading is actually probably about half my reading. I just feel like I don't talk about it quite enough on the channel. You know, I'm always outdoors, especially like in the summertime and springtime and fall time. I try in the winter, but you know, when it's like super cold, I just when it's like, you know, 20 below zero, this is kind of where I draw the line sometimes. But anyways, this is all about kind of the wildlife and ecosystems of, you know, woodland New England, which is where I live. So I think that's just like super awesome. I love learning about kind of like my own area and biome and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm hoping it, like I said, since the subtitle is kind of from glaciers to global warming, just like, for example, unfortunately, I live in like a super conservative place. Even though like Maine is actually kind of really weird, like politically and stuff. But that's a story for another time. But I happen to live in like, you know, the super rural, deep red part, and I'm like not. And like I get in, we'll say, debates with like neighbors and stuff about like climate change and stuff. And you know, a lot of them deny it and stuff, but it's hard to, when like, for example, this past February we had no snow on the ground for like, I think 25 out of the 28 days or something like that, which has never happened. Never ever. We've had 2 out of 3 Christmases of the past 3 years. 2 of them have been green Christmases, and that's already like a super rarity. Like I can only think of, I think 3 that anyone's ever like talked about and stuff, and 2 of them were you know, within the last 3 years. So I just, you know, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, so I'm hoping it kind of goes into more like research and things like that, just kind of providing me with more evidence, but also kind of talking about the wildlife and maybe like what we can do to kind of help with, like, you know, biodiversity and that kind of stuff in my area. So yeah, if this one is a 5-star read, I'm actually gonna be kind of disappointed. So yeah, here's to hoping this one is really good. Alright, next up, we got Atul Gawande's Being Immortal, Medicine and What Matters in the End. I'm not going to talk about this one too much because there's like 30,000 reviews of it like all over the place, and apparently I just have like never read it. I've had it for quite a while from what I remember, and I've seen just tons and tons of good stuff. I'm planning on reading this actually during Springathon as kind of like a nature adjacent kind of read. Even though it's like medicine, I guess it's like an applied biological science in a way. But this is all about, you know, more like quality over quantity in terms of like, you know, how do we treat, you know, like terminally ill patients, or, you know, end of life stages for people that are, you know, the elderly and whatnot, you know. I think it's going to be kind of like the argument, you know, is it worth having 10 more years if you can't, would you rather have 5 really good years where you can do stuff and be active and all that kind of stuff and do the things you actually enjoy doing, or would you rather have like 8 or 9 years, you know, but you can't, you know, you're just always like feeling, you know, at like, you know, 50% and whatnot, stuff like that. So like I said, I worked in the social work field for a while now, So this, like I said, it's kind of like adjacent to that in a way. Kinda. I guess there are like social workers for like that sort of thing too as well. But anyways, like I said, I'm hoping to kind of learn a lot. It's already got like 1 billion really good reviews, so I'm just hoping. I have a feeling this one will live up to the hype. If that makes sense, because I've read quite a few books actually that the hype just like did not work for me. Like what was it, The Sixth Extinction by like Elizabeth Covert, just was not. I don't know, like, it had a ton of hype and everyone loved it, and I just did not. But anyways, I'm here's to hoping this one is super good as well. And lastly, we have a book where I've read several other books by the author, and it's Jennifer Ackerman's Birds by the Shore. Apparently she had previously published this as Notes from the Shore. I have read The Birdway right here. Oh, they got all like really like lovely covers too, as you can see, and The Genius of Birds. Really highly recommend both of them as well. But this one, I would say Genius of Bird is fairly, maybe not super technical, but you know, kind of fairly technical as like on the popular science side of things. It's on the more, I guess, technical end. And The Birdway is kind of a popular science book on the not quite so technical one. And I'm holding the book upside down apparently. This one, I'm assuming is going to have a lot of that kind of same bird sciencey stuff in it, but it's also more like a nature journal type of thing. There's a lot of authors that do the whole like kind of a year in nature kind of thing from like their area of the world or where they live or whatever they're observing and stuff. And I feel I'm a sucker for those pretty much. And that's what this one kind of sounds like. So I have a feeling it's gonna be like a blending of that with the other two books, if that makes any sense. And yeah, just the other two books were like pretty close to 5-star. I think Birdway was like 4.5 or something like that for me. So I have a feeling if this just kind of adds in kind of the nature musings and observations and kind of the more earthy style, I'll just really enjoy that as well. So there you have it. Those are 5 books that I am really hoping are 5-star reads, because I haven't read a 5-star read yet this year. Let me know down in the comments below which one I should read first, and if you've read any of them, what you thought about them. Also, give me a prediction of a 5-star book that you think you're going to be able to read in the near future. We all need to I say start reading. Apparently I'm the only one like not reading 5-star books recently, but I feel like everyone should be reading 5-star books. That's that's the goal, right? So anyways, like I said, leave a comment down below about these ones or one that you're going to be reading in the near future that you hope is 5 stars, and I will see you guys in the next video. So whether you're reading a 5-star book or it ends up being 3 stars, always remember, read victoriously.